I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step.
Just let go.
Today's episode is fun. It is the best of part 1. So I went through all of the episodes from this past year, and I picked my favorites and your favorites, and we created a compilation. So this episode includes 3 incredible women who all talk about how to get started, how they got started, and the literal steps, the tricks, the tips, the things that you can do to get started. So as it relates to your Why Not Now idea and how to take action, how to get started and greenlight that idea, these conversations are invaluable in terms of literally pressing go and getting started. We have Barbara Corcoran, who you may know from Shark Tank. She is a shark investor. She's also a real estate mogul and a brilliant business mind. Barbara is a firecracker. I just adore her, and she has so much value to offer and so much expertise that this was one of my top picks. We also have Christy Wright. She's a renowned business coach, speaker, author. She's a Dave Ramsey personality, and she's just an overall leader. And last but not least is Heather Allen. Heather is an entrepreneur. She's a former school teacher, and she has built a company that is now a 7-figure business, and she's primarily built it off of Instagram and Etsy. And her story is pretty incredible. Also, Heather Allen is a Renegade Brand Bootcamp graduate, and she is in our alumni program. Are you ready for change? Or maybe you're already in a season of expansion. As we embrace this new decade, are you ready to take action on your own Why Not Now idea? Maybe that means starting the company, launching the podcast, writing the book, or doing more public speaking, injecting your why into what you are doing. At the end of the day, that is exactly what creates connection. And connections convert. My life work is to help guide women through this very stage in their life. I do this through the Renegade Brand Bootcamp. It truly is the career love of my life. The reason I love this program so much is because I'm able to create a mosaic, a collection of like-minded, like-hearted, driven women who come together to level up. They learn the renegade mentality directly from me, and I share everything I've learned over the past 20 years in business. It's equal parts education, collaboration, accountability, and community. We are accepting applications for our 2020 program, and you are welcome to go check everything out about the program at renegadebrandbootcamp.com. And as a very first step, just sign up for my 5-day email series. I uncover all of the questions about the bootcamp and help you understand if it's right for you. We've had some incredible women come through the program, and you will hear from them as well. You can check out the curriculum, the structure, the vibe, and everything in between. Many years ago, I went to Mark Cuban and asked him for investment advice. I thought I was going to get some real estate or stock market type of advice. Instead, he said, invest in yourself. Invest in your own growth. Invest in yourself. Bet on yourself. This is the best ROI you will ever find. If you are at that point where you are ready to take action, head to renegadebrandbootcamp.com. We tackle the most taboo topics on the Why Not Now show. Oftentimes, you're hearing guests share things they've never shared before. In the spirit of things we don't typically talk about, you should know that the Why Not Now show is supported by Poopery, the original before you go toilet spray. It's magic. My friends at Poopery have literally taken the smell out of you-know-what. This pure blend of essential oils stops bathroom odor before it begins. Visit poopery.com and Why Not Now listeners get 20% off with code WHYNOTNOW. That's all one word. And you can hear the story about Poopery in our interview with founder Susie Batiste. That's Why Not Now episode 28. Poopery is also available at Bed Bath & Beyond. First off, we have Barbara Corcoran. She starts off with a very colorful story, quite entertaining, and she talks about how good decisions usually don't take long. Good decisions are usually really quick decisions, and how you can lean into your intuition to borrow on all of the expertise and everything you've learned up until that point in your life to better serve you in making a quick decision. Barbara also touches on how to get clarity and the fact that you don't have to get it right, you just have to get going. Barbara, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Amy.
Well, let's hop right in, as we do in the spirit of Why Not Now. Can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now? We'll dissect that day, that minute, that hour, that season, and dive into your thought process.
Okay, well, the thought process didn't take very long, as is true of most good decisions. I generally find when you're spending a lot of time debating, you're not going to actually do anything about it. So this was a decision I made walking between my apartment on East 81st Street and 60th Street in Manhattan. And it was a decision to leave my partner when I had built a business for 7 years with my partner. And I just decided on the walk in, and I don't even know what really made me get fed up, I guess, but I walked in and simply said, good morning. Today we're ending this business and let me tell you how we're going to do it. And it was clear as a bell. But it just went so smoothly. It was working up to the decision which is very often the case, the year and a half before that was so very torturous for me because I felt like I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the legs under me. I didn't think I could succeed without him. I thought that anything that I had accomplished in my first 7 years in business was a result of luck versus any kind of a talent or ability to judge well or hire the right people and all the myriad of things you do well if you're going to start a business and even succeed past a year. But I just had written it all as luck, and I had thought anything that really happened was because of him, not because of me. And so it was a giant leap of faith to see what I was made of when I walked in on that Friday morning and said, hey, let me tell you, we're going to end the business today, and let me tell you how we're going to do it. It was just, that was the easy part. Leading up to it was the tough part.
Wow. So there was that brewing period, which most of us have. And as you were walking, could you visualize what was about to happen, what you were going to say, the step after step, or was it just, let me get this out and then we'll go from there?
Truly, I didn't think beyond visualizing the reaction. And I think visualizing the reaction I wanted gave me the motivation to do it. So what I had in my head was I was going to walk into my office again I was with him for a year and a half after I wanted to be with him because he had announced that he was marrying my secretary, and he was my boyfriend and partner. And I was so crestfallen over that. But of course, I couldn't fire the secretary because he told me he was a 51% partner and she was staying. And so I pictured myself yet again walking in, acting like I wasn't bothered over the fact that she had moved into my desk and shared the office with my old boyfriend, and they would be behind the glass wall giggling while I was outside looking in. I know that sounds like a pathetic image, but it was pathetic for me. It was a heartbreaker. I pictured myself walking into that same scene. Good morning, everybody. Hi, everybody, and being my cheerful self and getting on with business when inside I was torn apart. But instead, while walking to work that day, I pictured me saying that to Ray. Today, we're going to end this business, and let me tell you how we're going to do it, and watch his reaction. And I saw the look of his face and the look of his then wife's face looking up from the desk in total shock. And just seeing the shock was good enough to take a shot at doing it.
Wow.
I was excited by that. It must be a meanness in me or a vindictiveness or something, but the satisfaction of just getting that shock was about as far as I thought. I didn't think beyond that how I was going to do it. I didn't think whether I could do it. Where was I going to go? Did I have an option? I didn't think of money. I didn't think of anything, but I just went as fast as, look at their faces. Boy, did I surprise them.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Immature and ego-driven, totally.
But also very necessary, it sounds like, at the time that you needed to make that shift. And so do you find that you mentioned most of your good decisions are quick ones?
Oh, they always are, because a quick decision is a decision that leans immediately on your intuition. And if you think about what intuition is, it's the highest part of your intelligence because it's an accumulation of everything you've learned since you were born. So it's not a book smart kind of a thing where you look up a formula. It's a mishmash of all the experiences you've had, the people, judgments, the good ones, the bad ones, the disappointments, the winnings, the cautionary tales. It's all inside you as a result of living for however many years you're living. And that's what I see as intuition. So when you meet someone, you don't trust them. Sometimes you start apologizing to yourself. Well, he didn't do it. I don't know why I don't trust him. I trust myself when I don't like someone. It's just a matter of time of finding why I don't trust them, and I'm always right because it's your intuition. So I think intuition type decisions are right from the gut immediately, and if you pay attention to it, they're truthful. I find it's when I start trying to analyze things that I could get way off course and land in the wrong place on things and decide not to make a decision because I've thought about it too long or I've analyzed it to death where it has no life in it. No, intuition's the way to go, and speed is everything. I have to tell you, if I think back in my whole life of all the decisions that I had in my life that were my stellar, spectacular decisions that either saved my business, saved a relationship, made a meaningful importance in the quality of my life, every single one of them were fast and they were done out of the seat of my pants. And when I think of the ones that I regret, not that I'm a big regretter because I like to move on, I'm pretty good at that, but I think, oh God, why? I can distinctly remember back when I actually thought I knew that was wrong, but I did it anyway. I trusted them. I did it anyway, you know. So I know I really believe in quick decisions. Yeah, the longer you wait, the riper the food gets, and eventually it just rots and you forget what you're deciding.
Oh, and the question of why not now is loaded with that urgency. And I've heard you say you don't have to get it right. You just have to get going. And that momentum is so key.
Definitely. And let me tell you what I mean by that. First of all, I'm trying to address what is, I don't know if the right word is paramount, but very common in people like deciding, should I start my own business? Shouldn't I start my own business? And generally when I ask them what's holding them back, it's details like, well, I don't have the product totally perfected. I have to get a model made. I need to get a patent. I don't know who I could use for the manufacturing. You know what happens once you put your stick in the sand and declare you're a business? You go out and you sell it off a drawing. You find out you don't need the model. You find out that you're way off on what you thought you could manufacture for, and you have to cut it in half and find a way. But once you're in it, you know, it's all of us. I don't think there's ever an exception. All of us are better under fire than we are, again, I'm using analyze too much, but then we are debating something, thinking of something. Mm-hmm. You know, put any, like, you know what it's like? It's like I've grown up in New York since I was 22, and I've been mugged twice in New York. But in each instance, I handled myself really well. And if someone had told me I'd be good in that situation, or what would you do? I'd say, oh, well, I might want to have mace in my purse. I might want to, well, I'd see around who could help. But immediately, in a difficult situation, it came to my head. I screamed fire and got everybody's attention. Why didn't I scream help? Maybe nobody would pay attention. Then I screamed fire.
Nice.
And that just came under fire, so to speak, Mm-hmm. And so I find that we are all so much more capable than we are when we're thrown into stuff. But what stops people is they don't want to get thrown in until they've figured out the angles. And so sadly, that allows you not to see the best side of yourself. We're all good on our feet in motion. Even children are. You don't sit a child down at a table and tell them to invent a game. You put them on the street and give them some chalk. They invent a game. And that's what entrepreneurship is. It's thinking on your feet. How do I manage this? Oh, this doesn't work. Let me get over this. You can't do that on a business plan. It's static. It's black and white. It's at best is a nice pat theory. And you can't get your ducks in order. As much as you might analyze it and do everything right, chances of you succeeding are less than if you don't do it right and get out there and have to figure out what the next solution is.
To listen to my entire conversation with Barbara, you can head to episode 137. Next up, we have Christy Wright. Both Barbara and Christy touch on the concept of visualizing and visualization, but they do so in a tactical way. So it doesn't seem so esoteric. Christy is so good at helping people with goal setting. And she breaks down how can you get your first quick win and how that builds momentum and confidence, and also how most of the impressive things that we see in life started with baby steps, and they were unimpressive ways to start. When it comes to visualization, it's so important because Christy talks about the fact that you can't really get excited if you can't see something. So being able to see it is key. Your entire world in business revolves around helping women, female entrepreneurs, grow their business, do what it takes to be successful. And so many people who are listening right now have this idea. They're ready to move to action. And in many cases, they probably feel stuck because they're either working the corporate job and feeling like their schedule's full, or not quite sure how to navigate the transition from what they're doing now with a 9-to-5 into their dream idea with entrepreneurship. So that very first step, like, what do you advise? What works for people to start to make that transition?
Yeah, I'll give you kind of two extremes because I think both are really important in the process. First, I want you to think about where you're going. So when we first have these dreams of a side business or a business or working on our own, it feels pretty blurry, and it's hard to get excited about something that's really blurry because it's like, I kind of want to do something in the craft industry. I kind of want to do something in the fitness industry. I'm not sure what or how we're going to monetize it, but I don't know. I just have this yearning to go into this space. Okay, that is a perfect starting point. But what I want you to do is I want you to visualize this dream. I want you to create a vision for the future in 3 years, 5 years, doesn't matter the time frame. I just want you to get as much clarity around it as you can. What are you doing? What does your dream future look like? What are you, what hours are you working and what business are you running? And do you have team members or is it just you? And where do you operate? And just start to think through, not in a way that feels limiting, like, oh my gosh, I have to have it all figured out. That's not the purpose of this exercise. The purpose is to get enough clarity around it that you can get excited about it. Because you can't get excited about something you can't see. In the moment you begin to see it and visualize it, then you get excited about it. You think, okay, I can see that. Now, this dream that you have may be big. It may be, once it's so clear, you're like, oh my gosh, I am excited, but that feels massive and it feels impossible. I'll tell you, that's a really common feeling to have. I love using running analogies. So when I was my senior year in college, I decided to run a full marathon. I had never run more than 3 miles. Now, full marathon is 26.2 miles. Now, that's a dream I had. It sounded really exciting. It sounded impressive. It sounded like a massive challenge, but it also felt very overwhelming. How in the world would I ever run 26.2 miles? Now, that was my finish line. That was my dream, but now it felt really overwhelming and impossible. So after you visualize the future and you get some clarity around that dream, what are you doing? And, is it a business? Is it a career move? What's that next, big thing that you're excited about? Then what I want you to do is I want you to back out of that between today and that day in the future. And you're just going to create a path to get there. You're going to create a plan. And you can start with just major milestones like, okay, if I am currently working a full-time job that I hate, and I want to be working for myself full-time, and I want to have a clothing boutique in downtown of my city, then some major milestones? Let's see, number one, I'd need to be able to build this business up enough on the side that it can support me so I can quit my full-time job. I'll need a retail space. Like, you kind of just put some mile markers in there that you want to hit. Maybe you start online, start from home, that type of thing. But the training analogy for the running plan, for example, would be I downloaded a running plan, and it showed me on my first week, my long run was 4 miles. Well, that was just a mile longer than I'd run before. Well, then on the second week, it was 5 miles, and it continued to build. And when you can see the path between where you are today and where you're going in the future, it doesn't seem so crazy. It doesn't seem so impossible. Oh, well, that's how I'm going to run 26.2 miles, because each week I'm incrementally adding mileage, and that doesn't seem so impossible anymore. And so what I help people do is, once you visualize the future, I just help them create a plan. Now, you can get a plan online, you can build it. The Business Boutique book is a plan. You can get plans wherever, but you just want to think through some of the major steps. But I'll tell you the best starting point. So if that's your finish line, if your vision of the future is your finish line, that's your full marathon, then what I want you to do is I want you to back out of that and think, what is the quickest win that you can do today? What's the lowest hanging fruit? What's the babyest baby step that you could take today in that direction? Maybe it's a Google search to see if businesses like that already exist. Maybe it's a Google search to see if there are open positions in that industry or with that company that you want to be with. It is something so small and so unimpressive that it's easy to dismiss it, because you think, well, what difference could that make? But here's what's so amazing about this journey, and I know you see this, Amy Jo, with everyone you work with. That first baby step, when you take it, when you get that quick win with the lowest hanging fruit, it gives you confidence and momentum to take the second baby step and the third baby step, which leads to an interview. And then it leads to, calling your city council to see about a business license. You're the county clerk. It becomes this snowball. And then you look up one day, you're running 16 miles on your weekend. You're going, oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing. But it didn't happen with one terrifying leap where you went from your full-time job that you hate and then the next day you're living your dream job. It was made up of these tiny incremental baby steps that got you to where you are. And I remind people all the time, the impressive things in life always start as unimpressive things. They start as baby steps. They start as a card table in your living room. It starts with coffee with the right person to make that connection and that relationship. And so when I say I want you to have those two extremes, that's what I mean. I want you to have the extreme of the future, of vision and clarity about where you're going and what you want, and visualize that. And then back out of that and say, what's the quickest win I can have today? What's the baby step, the lowest hanging fruit that I can take today to start to move me in that direction? And you keep taking those baby steps until you get there. And you look up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I'm here.
Love it. And it's interesting because I wanted to talk to you about goal setting. And you basically just went right there to do not set a goal without taking action on something right then and there to get that momentum, to get that confidence, like you said, because it becomes the new normal, right? All of a sudden you're not shocked anymore that this is actually working out the way you want it, because you're putting motion into place.
Some of your goals are not impressive. I think that this social media world makes us glamorize all the beautiful parts of our lives and our businesses as if it's all just big stages and success and all that. But you and I both know it's a grind. It's 4 a.m. drives in a rental car by yourself to the airport to get the flight. It's, late nights up writing and editing. There's a lot of grind that leads to that success, that leads to that really cool Instagrammable stuff. And I love the quote by Pastor Craig Rochelle. He says, it's the small things behind the scenes that no one ever sees that leads to the big things that everyone wants. And I use the example of running as well. It's like, it's easy to see people, these amazing Olympians crossing the finish line. It's like, You don't know about the 4 a.m. runs that they did. You don't know about the ice baths and the strict diet and the, unbelievable miles that they put in that led to that finish line. And so it's so easy in our world of social media to glamorize the finish line, but we dismiss what it took to get there. Mm-hmm. And so there will be fun highlights. There will be big stages. There'll be moments that you pinch yourself and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got to talk to that person or have that opportunity, which is awesome. But for every one of those, there's a lot of day-to-day grind that you put in because you put in the blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes to make the thing happen. And that's okay. Don't dismiss that.
And last but not least, we have Heather Allen. Heather is an entrepreneur. She's a former school teacher. She's a mom of 2. And she has created quite the business. She has a 3D cookie cutter business that really started on Etsy. And Heather did not have a website for a very long time. She was selling off of Etsy and really pushing from Instagram to Etsy. She talks through how she did this, why it worked, and how she really entered into the world of entrepreneurship, because her first idea for business didn't really end up being the path she wanted to go. It didn't end up working out, so to speak. She talks through how valuable it was that she did just step into the arena, because that's what led her to this company now that's in alignment with what her goals are and who she is, and it's thriving and growing so quickly. One of the things Heather talks about is how her authenticity on Instagram and just being real, sharing the real stuff, has served her very well when it comes to making connections with her customers. And those convert. So she talks through how this happened, what happened one day when she decided she's just going to start sharing what's going on. And it's amazing to look at the relationship that she has now with her customers as a result. By nature, you had started I think it's really important, this portion of your story, you had started that greeting card company, right? And that was your first step into entrepreneurship. So would you say, is it accurate that that kind of eased the stress, the first
100%.
step stress?
I learned more from creating that company and failing at everything I was attempting, because I learned why I was failing and what people were doing that was successful. And it just really opened my eyes to a lot about myself, a lot about the market. But I would say the biggest thing that I learned was when I started creating, I was in the greeting card industry. It was a mixture of drawing and hand lettering. But what I did not realize when I first started was the best way to be, I wouldn't even say the best way to be successful, but the best way to be true to yourself is to design what makes you happy and not what you're seeing other people be successful at doing. And so I made the mistake of, well, this is what's successful for this person. Well, let me try to emulate that. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that I was copying, because that's not what I was doing. But my goal was never to create something that I was proud of. I love to create, but yet I was completely missing the mark that I was trying to design with other people's goals in mind, what worked for them, not what worked for me. And so having that greeting card company open and then opening another business beside it where I was designing only for myself. I was designing cookie cutters, yes, but it was insane to me, the people in this community that kind of just took me in and accepted me. And then I realized it's because I was just being true to myself. They saw me. They didn't just see my designs. And it really made me aware of authenticity and how that was growing my business, whereas compared to this greeting card shop that had been open a year and a half was floundering. And it was because I was nowhere in there except what was you were seeing on a screen. And that wasn't really me, if I was being honest with myself. So I learned not only about authenticity and failure, but I just kind of learned how to own up to mistakes that I had made, and rather than feel ashamed of them, just to learn from them.
I think that is a huge takeaway. Absolutely something that doesn't feel natural to us as first-time business owners and wanting so badly to succeed and to make it work. We like to look around and see what everybody else seems to be doing or what's worked for them. And the magic and the actual secret code is somewhat the opposite of doing it for yourself and solving your own, scratching your own itch per se. And then what happens as a result and the external, reaction is, it's incredible, but it doesn't feel intuitive at the time. So if there's anyone listening that is starting something or has already, and maybe you haven't felt like you found your right stride, you might evaluate, am I doing that? Am I doing this for myself in the way I believe makes sense for me versus what I think will work based on something that someone else has done? It's amazing that you were able to learn that and then apply it to the second go round too.
It wasn't easy, but
no.
coming to terms with your own, I guess, what would you say, issues is probably one of the things that has helped. Growing is not fun or easy, and it's completely messy, but
messy. Yes.
A way, I guess, to get better.
That word is like my mantra lately. Messy. Embrace the mess. Beautiful mess. Everything seems to be a mess with the newborn, and life kind of is different. So
it only gets messier.
Uh-oh. I like clean. Let's talk a little bit about the role that Instagram has played in your business. And let me just preface this with, you did start on Etsy and it was huge for you. It was the perfect place. And what a lot of people, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Heather, but what a lot of people would be surprised to hear is that you didn't have a website for the longest time, right? And
we are still working on launching it. I am working on it right now, actually. I'm with the designers. It's almost complete, but now we're working on the backdoor stuff,
I love
SEO and all of this information that I don't know, but I'm learning.
I love it.
Help with that stuff. But yes, we are on Etsy and we're about to hit 150,000 sales.
Amazing.
I'm excited.
Totally. That's not revenue. That's number of sales, right?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's where I just think, it's such a democratized arena we're playing in as business people of what can fuel your business and what the infrastructure can look like and what it doesn't have to look like. And just the fact that Instagram has been huge for you too, where you've had these two tools that in most respects are free or almost to grow your business. And I love the resourcefulness and the kind of scrappy side of being able to do that and generating 7+ figures in revenue and doing these things that people would be like, wait, is that possible without a website? And it's like, hell yes, it actually is. She's doing it. This is amazing.
It is. It's possible. What I noticed, our Instagram, we've had Instagram since its start. We started our business, and I look back to my beginning days, and I was putting cookie cutters on scrapbook paper and taking photos. And when Instagram stories came about, I really jumped on board with that. I'm normally a very introverted person, but something about chronicalizing my day kind of helped me, being a stay-at-home mom that my husband was gone for long periods of time with military life, and I was there with this young child running a business. It was completely lonely. I was in a new state, no family, and it was kind of my way to not only just talk out my day without talking to a dog or a baby, but having that community of conversation back. Relating to me. And I noticed that our sales started picking up and it stayed pretty steady for a while. And then I really took a chance one day, and I can't tell you what caused me to get on my phone this day, because it was probably one of my worst days. But that's also what I think opened myself up to my community and the people that followed me, and they kind of started seeing a real person. But what happened was I had just had my second child, running a business, postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. It all came to a head. And I remember my husband walking in the house and me handing him the baby, looking over my shoulder and saying, "I'll be back," and just walking out. I'm sure he thought, Lord, where is she going? But what I was doing was I was heading straight to the hospital. And I went in, it was something, I felt no shame. I told my doctors what I was feeling. I got medicine that day, and I went outside to get in our car, and it wouldn't crank. And I just started laughing, and I was like, really? Okay, I'm stuck here for 30 minutes now while I wait on my husband and these 2 kids that I just walked out on, basically, to come pick me up. And I was stuck there. And so I just opened my phone and started telling not all of my story, but just basically what I was doing, where I was, why I was there. And I ended it with, it's completely okay to ask for help. It's completely okay to acknowledge that you're feeling these things, but your feelings aren't who you are. You know, if anyone is like this, or, you know, you start feeling this way, go get help. Don't wait till you're like me and walking out the door because you don't know what else to do. But still, even if you do that, get help, because your feelings aren't who you are. And that day I was flooded with messages, and I even had people sending me messages saying, Heather, your story was so amazing, and I don't really know how else to support you, so I just bought some cookie cutters. They're so amazing. Thank you. And it was just eye-opening. Like, what? And I remember asking my husband, like, why are they buying cookie cutters? Because they liked what I said. And he was like, babe, sometimes people want to support and they don't know how to do it except to give. And he's like, and that's how you give to someone that you don't know. And I was like, wow, like, very humbled by that. And I kind of just have used Instagram as a way to deal with my own mental issues and anxiety and depression and things that I struggle with, and knowing that there are 10 times more people in the world that struggle with it than you would ever realize. And opening up on a platform like this, they feel like it's a one-on-one conversation. And when someone sends you that direct message, it really just opens up a new world of communication where it makes me almost feel selfish, because it helps me in opening up to them, because then they open up to me and I almost feel like then I'm helping them, not really focused on myself, but at the same time, I'm completely working on myself, if that makes any sense. It's nice to take the focus off myself and then realize, after I've talked to so many people, okay, I just completely opened up about something I was struggling with, and now I feel like that's completely lifted, and I've just helped these people. And I really only started off with just wanting to vent. And it's just crazy how this Instagram world, and it brings together people that maybe aren't even like-minded, that just start following along with a person, and you realize you may not be like-minded, but you have very similar circumstances, or you think about life the same, or you struggle with anxiety just as much, and you really just want to see what other people are doing to overcome it, or just to know that someone gets it when you've had a bad day and you want to say, I completely lost it today. And they say, it's okay, you can try again tomorrow. So it's been amazing. I don't feel like they're my customers, even though I would say 93% of our sales are direct from Instagram. People clicking on our link and going, like they go from our Instagram rather than going to our website.
93%.
It's just pretty amazing to me. Yeah.
Whoa.
That they choose to follow me from there. And that's really when our business took off, was me really getting vulnerable, not really understanding that that's what I was doing at the time. Honestly, I probably was such in a brain fog that I just needed to talk it out, and talking to my phone seemed much easier. But then I hit a send button and it actually went out to a ton of people that I couldn't see. And it wound up being a blessing in disguise, because I remember thinking, I can't believe I just shared that. And now I look back and I'm like, thank goodness that I did, because the connections that I've made and the people that have told me that I've helped, that's more than I could ever hope for.
To listen to the entire conversation with Heather, you can head to episode 143. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/why not now. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins, and of course a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time, and until then, why not now?